How does Aquaman stop something that is literally unstoppable? Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read them dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Now, when we last checked in with Aquaman, some Atlantean terrorists were framing Atlantis, and it was his job to figure out who was doing it. Black Manta also took over the organization Nemo, and he has now decided to unleash a weapon against Aquaman. But while this weapon was approaching, Mera was sent off to be approved to become Aquaman's official queen with the Elders. And he awoke early that morning complaining that his bed was too big and empty. The guard explains that it'll only be a few months until Mera returns, but that doesn't sit well with Arthur for rather obvious reasons. But he has other concerns right now as the Drift, his special forces unit, report that there is some seismic activity approaching Atlantis, Black Manta's secret weapon. Arthur approaches the beast with the Drift, and he begins to ask what it wants and if they can help. And it responds by clobbering him and throwing him back. He literally goes flying through the rocks on the seafloor. Neptune's balls, the leader of the Drift says, and he begins to open fire on the creature. They get in closer to see if they killed it, but they see their wounds healing, and it throws back one of the Drift members. Scared of what it's going to do next, they watch as Arthur swims back in, slamming the creature with his trident. You will stop. It throws him aside again, and he watches as the trident wound heals, so he shoves it in deeper. The monster begins throwing the Drift and Arthur around, and then it walks into Atlantis, destroying everything in its path. Black Manta demands a report, asking, has the creature succeeded? And his subordinate tells him, the creature has reached Atlantis. Has he even slowed it down? Not at all, sir. As the creature attacks Atlantis, Tula leaves her role as regent and joins the fight, but as the creature goes to smash in her head, the king swims in, saving her. For God's sake, Tula, you have responsibilities now. I know, your highness, I summoned the fleet. The war fleet positions itself and they're scared to open fire into the city, so she calls down a precision laser strike right on the creature. Everyone looks into the crater, and that's when Arthur sees that his enemy is the Shaggy Man. It's a synthetic, regenerating killing machine built by the surface dwellers that took the entire Justice League to a standstill in the past. Arthur leaps in, swinging his trident again, and Tula asks him, how will you stop the unstoppable? I'm working on that, he says as he keeps dodging and swinging, and he asks where it's heading. Where is its path going? And they report that the Shaggy Man will reach the coast in 9 minutes and destroy his surface home of Amnesty Bay. Arthur tries to pull the fleet in to block the Shaggy Man, but he leaps past all of them and straight out of the ocean, landing at Amnesty Bay, Arthur's main homeland town. He then begins throwing cars around as Arthur begins to swim at his top speed to catch up. The Drift tell him to slow down as they can't keep up with him at his top speed, but he tells them it's Amnesty Bay. And Merc, the leader of the Drift, tells him, exactly, that's the surface dwellers' problem now. Arthur ignores that. I'll pretend I didn't hear you say that, Merc. It's my home, as much as Atlantis is yours. Tula dials in, telling him that the war fleet is ready to assist him, but Arthur tells her no. If the war fleet goes to the surface for whatever the reason, the American government will assume it's an act of war. He rockets out of the ocean prepared to continue this. Meanwhile, Mera is still with the Elders as they run her through the trials, to which she isn't happy with. Arthur leaps onto the monster and is thrown aside again. Then the Shaggy Man throws cars on top of him, burying him. He quickly grabs the civilians in the way and he pushes them out of the path of the Shaggy Man as he continues smashing everything in front of him. And again, he takes a major hit to the chest, throwing him to the ground. As he gets up swinging, that's when Merc jumps in to grab him and pull him aside. Call your friends, Arthur! Call the damn Justice League! But Arthur shrugs it off. As a matter of fact, what kind of heroes are they? They should want to save this town with you involved or not. But then he realizes why Arthur hasn't made the call. It's his pride. Arthur doesn't want to call him. You want to prove to the world that you can do this on your own. Merc, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me you aren't tired of being that other guy behind Superman. You are out of line, Commander, and you're out of your mind, Lord King. You have nothing to prove, sir. You are Aquaman by the gods. And Arthur leaps in to keep fighting. Yes, I am. He jumps right onto the Shaggy Man and he sends out a command. Justice League satellite, voice authority Arthur Curry. Initiate teleport lock. And he shoves his Justice League tracking beacon into the Shaggy Man's air. Override transfer safety, set transport range to maximum. And the Shaggy Man slams him into the ground. Activate! And a flash of light, the satellite grabs the card and it teleports the target into the middle of space, where it angrily yells out. Arthur tries to hold himself up with his trident, but he falls back to the ground in a pool of his own blood. Merc runs over shouting, "Help! Somebody help me! Somebody!" But no one answers. To make matters worse, Mera just received word that she will not be trained to become the queen, because as the Elder's prophecy states, the king will fall and the queen in her grief will become the fatal queen and end the world. Mera, furious that they would say this, swims off to figure this out, knowing it has to be false, and then she hears her king has fallen in battle. This brings us to the next storyline, which is currently ongoing in Aquaman. So now, Aquaman's out of commission, Mera may be conquering the world eventually in her, like, I don't know, despair. And on top of all of that, we have Black Manta in charge of Nemo, and somebody's trying to frame Atlantis. The story's getting pretty crazy, guys, and I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. But don't forget to check it out yourself, and we can chat about it on Twitter @Comicstorian and Instagram @Comicstorian. See you next time right here.